All right, y'all. Before we dive in, a quick heads up.
This show is raw, real, and definitely not rated PG.
We're talking about adult themes, sexual content, and the kind of stuff you probably don't want blasting through your speakers at work or around your kids.
So grab some headphones, pour your drink of choice, and get comfy.
Oh, and just so we're clear, we are not licensed therapists, counselors, or sex coaches. Sex coaches,
Sex coaches.
not sex couches.
We're just a couple of people sharing our lives, experiences, and sexy adventures. An ethical non-monogamy. So with that, pull up a chair and enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond Monogamy. I'm Adam.
And I'm Pris.
And today we are back with another amazing conversation for you all. But before we jump in, real quick, if you love this show, if it's helped you, made you laugh, made you feel seen, or taught you something new, please do us a favor and hit that like, that subscribe button, that share button. And most importantly, leave us a review because those reviews are huge for helping this podcast grow in this lifestyle and the relationship space.
Seriously, they make a massive difference. And we appreciate every single one of you who takes the time to do that.
Absolutely. Now, with that being said, today we are sitting down with Martha Kauppi. Martha is a relationship and sexuality professional who works deeply in the areas of intimacy, communication, attachment, nervous system regulation, and helping people build more connected, conscious, and satisfying relationships, including folks in alternative and non-traditional relationship structures.
Her work focuses a lot on how our bodies, our emotions, and our relationship patterns all connect, and how we can start breaking old cycles and building relationships that actually feel safe, sexy, and sustainable.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about connection, desire, emotional patterns, non-monogamy, healing, communication, and all that real stuff that shows up once the fun part starts.
And we're really, really excited to get her perspective, her work, and what she's seeing with couples and individuals right now.
Yes. So Beyond Monogamy family, settle in, maybe pull up a chair, grab your favorite drink, and let's welcome Martha to the show.
Welcome, Martha.
Yes. Thank you, Martha. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Yes.
we are tickled pink to have you. I am very excited. Now I'm going to just dive right in, and I'm sure you're used to that. I guarantee you get tons of questions, but I'm really curious about basically how you got here as far as the non-monogamy portion of it. What originally pulled you into this line of work?
That's a really interesting question. So I'm an AASECT-certified sex therapist. So that's my kind of licensing and certification. And when I was in therapy school, which is a master's degree first, and sometimes people go on to a PhD, but when I was in my master's program, I was taking a relationship therapy course, couples therapy, they call it. I don't call it couples therapy. I call it relationship therapy because we're not all in couples. I asked, do you ever work with people who are in consensually non-monogamous relationships or polyamorous relationships? And I asked about this because my brother has been polyamorous for his entire adult life. And so it's just sort of part of my sort of family system. That's an option in life, and it's part of life, and it's a effective, normal, healthy way of being in a relationship. So I asked about it. And as an aside, I also am in an open relationship. So I just thought, let's get this into the conversation. And the professor who I really loved and learned a lot from had a really bad answer, which was, I've worked with a number of clients who are in polyamorous relationships, but it seems like one or the other of them always has a parent who has a personality disorder. Okay, so first of all, let me just frame this up. This was a little while ago. So this wasn't like this year or anything. So there's a cohort effect probably. But I did think, gee, that's an interesting answer. First of all, I'm thinking privately in my mind, I'm thinking about my brother. I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking, gee, I don't want to say my mother didn't have a personality disorder, but still that seems pretty pathologizing to me.
Right.
That's a really intriguing answer. On the one hand, I was excited to hear that he had worked with people in open relationship structures. And then on the other hand, I was like, well, that's an interesting conclusion to come to as the thing that you bring forward first.
It's kinda like a rainy
So
cloud hanging over, you know?
Yeah.
it's just a pathologizing frame,
Mhm.
really. Like,
Yeah.
wow, some sort of psychopathology leads to this way of being.
Mhm.
And as a queer woman, I'm used to that kind of thinking, like,
Mm.
why are you gay? Why are you queer?
Yeah.
Probably you were abused by your father or abused by your mother or in love with your mother or hated your father. I don't know. And the truth of the matter is, there's absolutely no evidence that there's any kind of psychopathology going on with open relationships or with being queer. So, anyway, this is how I got interested in this as a research subject. Like, I was
Mhm.
like, okay, if that's sort of the common thinking around this from somebody who's pretty open minded and he's working with people in open relationships, he's willing to, he's open to it, he's in the conversation. This is great. And that's the first thing. Then obviously we need some more data.
Yeah.
I need to, right? I need to
Yeah.
be able to train some therapists to be able to do a better job with this, basically. So I did my research as part of my master's program in polyamory. I was specifically looking for how long are people's open relationships and what happens with the intimacy in an open relationship when you add another partner. Because I'd read everywhere I looked, I read deep intimacy, real attachment only can happen in a relationship between two people. And I was like, well, that's abundantly, obviously not the case because I'm living it. My brother's living it. So somebody's missing something. And maybe it would be good if we were part of somebody's statistics.
Yeah.
So that's how I got started taking it to the next level beyond just, I want to be a therapist who works with open relationships as well as every kind of relationship, but I want to be a therapist who also knows something about it beyond my own personal experience and what I can read.
Golly, that is so
That's so
interesting.
yeah, that's so intriguing.
Man,
Like,
this is my favorite part of the show is normally the very beginning when we have our guests on, because I like to see what brought them. This is a very specific space that we're in.
mhm.
And I've never really walked into that question and had somebody answer and go, it just kind of fell into my lap. You know? It just never happens that way. There's normally a lot that brings the cosmos are just aligned just right to bring this person into this space at this time. And so I love that. It's so intriguing.
It is. I mean, the fact that your brother was already, living that kind of life, and then you're living that kind of life just shows you that there's a lot of people out there that need that kind of navigating, like, navigation to kind of help them kind of work through it and stuff like that. So that's awesome. That's great. You brought a lot to the table. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of knowledge, personal knowledge, which helps you just get more into it, more in depth, and understand it even better.
Yeah, that and it's really has my own relationship experience and my brother's very directly challenges a lot of assumptions about open relationships. And so specifically the idea that, oh, an open relationship just can't stand the test of time,
Mhm.
or there isn't deep intimacy. You can't really have a solid relationship. It's something that's going to be fleeting. You're going to grow out of it. And it's going to, when you get a new partner, it's going to destroy your old. Like, I knew those things were not true. They couldn't be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just couldn't because I had the evidence right in front of me. And so it turned out to be a really smart idea to do some
Yeah.
research about it. And now, today, my relationships structure is somewhere in the realm of somewhere between kitchen table polyamory. Probably, I would call it that. And I have a queer partner of 30 years and another partner of almost 25 years. So
Wow.
clearly those longevity
Oh,
ideas, like this is just something that's you can't make last in the long term. I'm like, well, that is so obviously not true that I don't even know where you could possibly have been looking to
You
get
know,
that idea.
Monogamous
everybody
relationships, period,
yeah, well,
have
everybody thinks that they're an expert.
yes,
You know?
yeah, that's
It's
for
the same
sure.
we had a tax business, and it seemed like everybody that came in to get their taxes done had a friend who was an expert, and they knew
Right.
everything, and it's no different here. You know, we create, we have our podcast, but we also create content on
Mhm,
TikTok, and we try to educate as much as possible just from our experience, and everybody just knows
mhm,
that open relationships and polyamorous relations they just don't work. You can't last more. It just doesn't have it.
yeah.
And I've heard this over and over again, and I just don't believe it because I am an old school lover of love, and you know I have always been that person that I just I love love, and I love when people get to experience that, and I don't believe that you know, it's one person with one person forever, you know, and sometimes it works for certain people, but
Mhm.
it's not for everyone. And this is the kind of the funny thing here. I'm so glad that
I
you're
was
here, let
just
me tell
about
you,
to tell you the funny thing.
because, um, Martha, we can't afford therapists, and so you're here now. I'm gonna take full advantage of this. Now, so just to kinda give you an idea, and most of our listeners probably already know this, but we had started out in the very beginning as swingers. And so we were all about the sexual aspect. My beautiful wife here has had experience in that lifestyle with a previous person to me, but it was kind of toxic. So when we got together, she started telling me about this lifestyle that she was previously a part of. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I would love that. That sounds great." And obviously, as a what a 28-year-old,
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you kidding me? I can have sex with other women." You know, it just seemed very mind blowing of an idea. And then as we got into the lifestyle, and I started realizing that there was less emphasis on experiences and more on connection,
Mhm.
more on friendships, more on relationships in just the sexual portion of it. As time went on, we had friends of ours say, "Well, we're poly." And I said, "Well, what is that?" And so they explained to me very, very rudimentary, but they basically said, "Well, we're married, but we date others outside of the marriage." Now I know that there's way more to it than that.
Yeah.
That was really kind of dumbing it down. But for somebody who didn't know anything about it, this sounded enticing to me because I feel like I have personally a lot of love that I can share. And I know that like I love my wife and I love her in certain ways that I don't I know I couldn't love somebody else with, but that doesn't mean that I can't love them as well. I love all of my friends. Like I love them. So we decided to try poly, and we were polyamorous for 5 years.
Mhm.
We went into it with no real help as far as guidance. We did our best to find information as much as we could. We tried to talk to people about it, but a lot of times when you ask people simple questions, they start going, You can Google it. You don't need me. You can
Yeah.
Google this."
Yeah.
And that's kind of
And everybody has their own way
they
of
do.
polling. Like you had mentioned earlier, kitchen table, right? A lot of people do not know what that is. And so when we first got into it, I was like, yeah, I don't think so. We really can't do this. This is not my I'm very territorial.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there's no way this can work. And we tried it, we did it, and it it wasn't for me, you
It
know?
really wasn't. And so out of this 5 years that we attempted, and we did it together and we did it separately. So we dated others as a couple,
Mhm.
but we also dated others separately as individuals. And I was relatively successful. I was able to find connections. My wife is a bit more selective than I am though. And so it was a bit more difficult for her to make connections. And not to mention, she just really wasn't enjoying it.
Mhm.
And so that's where we understood that we weren't communicating properly about this whole thing. And one day it came to a pass where she basically said she didn't want to be poly anymore. And I'm okay with that because my relationship has always been my number one priority.
Mhm.
Now, I just gave you a lot. I know. But I promise you I'm heading somewhere. With all of that being said, we decided to focus more so on the sexual aspect of it, and basically told her, I said, "Look, I need connection. I am not transactional. I cannot just go out and have sex with random people. I wanna like them. I wanna have a connection with them. I wanna have some sort of relationship with them, even if it's not romantic." And so we've been exploring and have adapted the friends with benefits to our repertoire, and it works for us, and it works very well for us, and that's where we're at. But I always found it very interesting because in this world, everybody just figures, well, you're non-monogamous, so that means you're swingers, or you're non-monogamous, so that means you're poly. Like, we get asked these questions, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, yes and no. I mean, and so then we have to explain everything to them as far as the different branches of non-monogamy and that sort of thing. There's a lot of ambiguity over what this is. And I'm curious, I mean, you have such great knowledge about this. As far as polyamory is concerned, as far as the romantic aspect of it, first off, what is the biggest advice that you would give somebody who's new
Mhm.
or considering the romantic aspect of polyamory?
Let me see if I can answer the question you're actually asking here. So, one of the challenges of going from swinging
Mhm.
to so the distinction I would draw here is to a form of consensually open that involves romantic feelings. You might call that poly, you might call it friends with benefits. I don't care what you call it, but there's a distinction because swinging doesn't always emotions. It does always involve sex. So a form of consensually open that involves sex and emotions is a real shift.
Mm.
And it's going to present some challenges probably along the way. And you are going to learn some stuff about yourself. And you're probably going to learn some stuff about your partner as well. So
That's for
here's
sure.
where, right? Yeah. I wish everybody could find the support that they need when they need it.
Mhm.
And that's why I train therapists. Primarily, what I do is train therapists to work with sex issues, including consensual non monogamies. And I wrote the book that I did because I wanted people who maybe couldn't afford a therapist or didn't have access to a CNM knowledgeable therapist to have a very substantial self help manual. So I basically wrote a textbook for therapists about working with consensual non monogamies and made it accessible to both audiences, therapists and people who are in open relationships, so that you can use it as a self help manual. It's got a whole bunch of worksheets and whatnot in it. So then my mission here, obviously, is to help people who are trying to navigate these kinds of spaces actually get some meaningful support. And I like having the opportunity to tell therapists what I think they need to know in terms of how to conceptualize a case, how to break it down, how
Mhm.
to think about the skills that go into your open relationship, how to think about the challenges that you're seeing instead of just thinking you have more than one partner, there's your problem. If you didn't have more than one partner, your partner wouldn't be jealous and you wouldn't be having all the problems that you're having today. So I think monogamy is really the solution to your problem. And my thought is, well, that's pathologizing and it's extremely limiting and it's going to lose you the client for good reason, right?
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
So let's try to help therapists and coaches be resourced to do a little better of a job than that. And most importantly, let's help people who are navigating difficulty in their relationships get the support they need. So to just sort of put all of this together, when you think about me as a trainer of therapists, therapists by definition are seeing people in relationships that are having some challenges, whether they're open relationships or whether they're monogamous relationships, whether they're polyamorous, no matter how they're defined and no matter what they look like behaviorally, they're having challenges or they wouldn't be asking for help. So it makes some kind of sense that therapists are like, I don't think that can ever work because I've never seen it work. And
Mm.
Right.
that's where I feel like you come in and I come in to say, I've seen it work.
Yeah.
I'm a good example of
Yeah.
seeing it work, right?
Mhm.
So when I start breaking it down, like trying to figure out, okay, I'm working with a couple or a throuple or a quad or whatever, and they're having this particular challenge, I want to try to break it down to understand where's the struggle, where are the growth opportunities for all partners involved, because the solution is not have a whole different shape of relationship until the clients decide, actually, it's not for me. And that's where I really want to just bow down and say, Pris, you're brilliant to be able to figure out what's true for you and say it. I think that's tremendous. Good job.
Thank you, thank you.
A
I mean,
lot of people have a hard
it was hard.
time.
Yes, it was very hard
Yeah.
because although I know that my husband loves me and I know that we have a family, we have a relationship, it's very like, "Ooh, is this what he wants? Is this really what he wants to do? Is this gonna break us or whatever?" And so I had to sit back and be like, "Oh, well, I mean, whatever happens, we're gonna have to navigate through that." And
Was news to me. So she told me afterwards, and I've always told her, I said, "Look, if at any point, whether it's swinging, whether it's poly, whatever it is,
Mhm,
if at any point you are uncomfortable or you don't wanna do this anymore, or same with me, all it takes is one of us to say, 'I don't wanna do this anymore.' And no questions asked, you got it.
yeah.
Like, we're walking away from it. No questions asked because this is more important to me." And so we've always said that. And so when she told me afterwards, after we worked out everything, she said she didn't want to be poly and we had conversations over it. She said, I was really worried
Mhm.
that this was going to be the end of our marriage. I,
Because you never know, like
yeah. And that's what, and I was like, I was blown away by this because me personally, I was like, I yes, I am non-monogamous in my heart. I am by nature. I've felt this way since I was middle school, high school. This has always been something in my life. But for her, I would give up anything. You know what I mean? And so that just I didn't realize it was that serious until we had conversations about it. Now, the great thing about our time in being polyamorous that we didn't have this when we were swinging, but when we became polyamorous is where we really learned how to communicate.
Mhm,
Um, we thought that we knew how, but as we went along, we started realizing, no, like we were on the surface communicating, but there was a lot of uncomfortable conversations that needed to be had that we weren't having with each other.
mhm.
And that's when we get the same old question all the time. And I'm sure you've heard it before, how do you guys make it work? And it's like, well, communication all the way, you
And
know?
yet, communication is one of those words that doesn't quite have a definition. So, can I unpack what I think it
Please.
actually
Yes.
entails?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I think it can be really helpful to break it down a little bit and figure out where exactly you're struggling. Because communication is just, it's a very nebulous concept. So I'm going to break down what I call differentiation, which is a little basket of skills that enable relationality, including your ability to have a difference of opinion between two people and handle it well. So the first piece is to be able to look inside yourself and figure out, what do I think, feel, want, prefer, believe, separate from what anybody else might want me to think, feel, believe. So that was a hard thing that you had to do, Pris, to figure out, okay, this is what I'm experiencing.
Mhm,
Might make him uncomfortable, but you had a way of checking in with yourself and figuring out, okay, I'm struggling. Why am I struggling? What's going on? What do I want? What seems like a logical next step for me? And what do I need to actually say about it? So the first part of that is the look inside and being able to have that kind of honesty, self connection moment where you can figure out what's actually true for you. Some people really struggle to do that.
mhm,
So that's the first piece. If you can't do that, you're not really going to have much luck opening your mouth and saying it to somebody else. So first you have to do the internal piece. Then the second thing is to bring that forward. So for me to share what I think, feel, want with somebody else who's important to me, and who I think might disagree. Might be hard to hear. If I have something to say to my partner, Joanne, I'm wondering how is she going to receive it? But somehow I have to figure out this is something that I want to share and then do so, regardless of my fears about how it's going to land for her. If it's important for me to say it, I have to figure it out and then say it. And then the third part is to be able to lean in with curiosity when somebody else shares something with you that's hard for you to hear. So, Adam, this was your opportunity in the conversation that you're talking about, where instead of saying, fuck you, we're done, to say, what's going on for you? What are you experiencing? Tell me what's not going well. Tell me what is going well. Tell me what are your dreams and desires? What do you want? Walk me through this. You don't actually have to agree. And it's not the same as a problem solving conversation. So this is different from how are we going to solve this impasse? This is really get to know you. And people get very confused about that because not everybody in an open relationship would say, if my partner says they don't want to be in an open relationship, I'd be fine with that. Some people, they feel like it's such a big aspect of who they are that this might feel like a really enormous impasse to them. And you don't have to know what the solution is to sort of set aside your viewpoint and center somebody else's for long enough to get to know the situation through somebody else's eyes. And that's really, it's a very nuanced skill set that involves holding yourself with respect, standing up for yourself, accurately representing yourself, possibly many times under stress, and respectfully holding somebody else and their perspective. And that's tricky. And underneath, so those are the three skills: get to know yourself, figure out what's true, say it, get curious, ask good questions, and center somebody else's perspective. And that makes it all work. But in order to do that, you have to be able to manage your emotions
Mhm.
because emotions are going to come up with any of that. And Pris, you said it so perfectly. You were afraid to say it because if it was very important to him, it could represent a no-go. And you
Mhm.
don't know that. That is exactly in a nutshell what makes differentiation difficult because it's such a vulnerable experience to share what's actually true for you. It's risky.
Yeah.
You don't know how the person that you love so much is going to receive that. And it wouldn't be surprising if they were upset by it and it
Mhm.
became a very tense, difficult
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
So there are some real risks involved in this. It's not just like, oh, you should just do this. Just do it is like
Yeah.
a red flag for like big opportunity here that's going to be very complicated. So that's how I think of all of that stuff. And breaking it down like that allows me to help people build the capacity to do that when they don't quite have it yet.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a difficult time holding on to their emotions when their partner says something that is hard to hear, I want to experience some kind of sex that we've never had before. It feels important to me. That might be very hard to hear. Or, honey, I want to open our relationship. I've always wanted blah, blah, blah. And it feels really important to me. Can we have a conversation about that? Those are some difficult disclosures for a lot of people. Or, like you said, I don't want to still be in this form of relationship. And what I love about your story is you went from there to some kind of exploration of what might be possible for you
Mhm.
that might check the boxes for both of you
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
really creative way that isn't based on a lot of relationship rules about what a relationship should look like and shouldn't look like, or what polyamory has to be, or CNM has to be. Instead, starting from the real humans that we're working with, what do you like and hope for and want? And what lit you up about this? And what was hard for you about this? Same questions for you. And then beginning to look from the place of desire. What would you like instead of what didn't you like? What can you learn from what you didn't like about what you do like? Or what experiment you might want to run, or what small step forward you might want to take so that you can get more feedback from the universe about what you do and don't like. This is something that if like anything, if you've never experienced it, you're going to need to experience it a little bit to learn what's
Mhm.
actually true for you. How could you have ever known that it would be hard for you to handle polyamory in some very particular ways if you never had the experience of
Yeah.
your partner having
Mhm.
romantic connections with somebody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
And we've always said that too,
yeah.
it's like, well, at least we've had and when I bring up polyamory, she's like, "Oh, not the P word," like even after it's been 6 years since we stopped, and it just still kind of leaves a bad taste in her mouth. And we can joke about it now,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, well, if to me, our poly experience was very positive because we got to learn a lot about each other. We got to learn a lot about our relationship.
Mhm.
And frankly, after that, when we stopped being poly, is when she realized that she could really trust me. Like she could
And,
always
like, the
trust me.
communication definitely is way better because of the way I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have these uncomfortable conversations, and we don't always agree. But if you have them, at least okay, well, this is where he's at or this is where she's at, and figuring out how to navigate through that. So, that's
It's
amazing.
it's work. It's work. And I will say that since we stopped being poly and as we've gone along and now we're entertaining more of a friends with benefits kind of thing. I've sat back after in the past 5, 6 years and I've gone, I if I have the opportunity to be poly again, I don't think I'd want to. And primarily because I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. And I'm putting everything I have into this primary relationship, and it was something I noticed right before she said she wanted to stop being poly was I was getting exhausted because I put everything I can into every relationship that I have. As far as romantic relationships go, you get as much of me as I can give you. But we have 5 kids, and I'm very close to them, and we were both raising them, and then I'm putting everything I have into our time together, and what little bit I had for myself, I was dividing up to give to somebody else. And it just wasn't it wasn't
It was
enjoyable
hard. It was
in
hard.
that fashion. Yeah,
Yeah,
and so I can't do it.
You've
I
done it for so
um,
many years.
When you
that's
said you had 30 and 25 years under your belt and I'm like, wow, that's and so my ears perked up and not to discuss you personally, but just in the aspect of keeping up relationships and the longevity of it and being able to split your time and everything. What could you advise on that?
well, I don't have 5 kids.
That's fair.
Smart.
But we'll start there
That's a good start. Yeah.
because the first thing that I was thinking is, as you were talking, I was like, "Don't you have, like, a bunch
Yeah.
of kids?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're dividing all of your time and the heart between Pris and another lover. No, that's not what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're raising a family and a big one,
Yeah.
and that is a whole lot of people who have very real needs from you.
Yes.
And it is, I think, as a parent, your commitment to your kids is to show up for them in as complete a way as you can and as healthy a way as you can. And that's a growth commitment and it's a showing up commitment. It's a day-to-day commitment. It's a great big commitment. So I just want to say, like, there's a time and a place for everything. And I can't imagine how, I mean, it would be a nifty trick
It was
Yeah.
and
to,
it was
Oh,
hard.
Martha, hold on. I got a
I
cherry to put on top of that. Okay.
okay, good. Yeah, yeah.
I was going through
Oh,
menopause
yeah.
and
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. That's
okay.
I was living almost
very big
3
cherry.
hours away from all of my kids, which I never have.
Yeah.
I was living 3 hours away from my husband and my kids when toward the latter half of the poly life was happening. And so
Yeah.
I had depression, I had hormonal changes, I had
Anxiety.
stress, anxiety, new job, no family, no my babies weren't around me.
I wasn't around, like, it was
Yeah,
yeah.
it was such a bad time that now just saying it out loud to you sounds so ridiculous that we even attempted.
Now that
Like,
you're saying it out loud, I think it's amazing that we survived.
yeah, like, look at us.
We're still
He's still
married. We
alive.
never left each other. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Y'all
and
are doing great.
I love your book. So tell me, does your book give you, I know that you said you made it for therapists and you made it for regular people. Does it give you a lot of guidance on where to start, or is it more of a navigation like for someone who's already in poly and already in depth in there?
First of all, here's the book,
Look at
Polyamory.
that.
Yeah, look at that. I wrote that. A good
That's
book.
right. That's beautiful.
Um, yeah, Polyamory, a clinical toolkit for therapists and their clients. And the first section is like CNM 101,
Okay.
basically, that which you've all read before and you can just skip right by it. Glossary, all that. And then the whole sort of bulk of the book is how do you think about these pieces of differentiation? What exactly goes into navigating a difference of opinion between people? How do you think about having a difference of opinion well? What are the particular kinds of challenges that happen with different roles in an open relationship? Are you a primary partner, a secondary partner, non-hierarchical? Are you the hinge partner? Like any role that you might be in has its particular relational challenges. NRE. How do you handle your NRE? How would you handle your partner's NRE? Some worksheets for beginning to think about that. Decisions about opening up or not opening up. What kinds of open? What do you want in a relationship aside from open or closed? Like before we start trying to put it in a definitional box, let's open the field from a place of desire. What do you want to experience? What feels important to you? For some people, they want lots of sexual adventure. For some people, they want lots of intimate connection. Some people want lots of safety and security and reliability. And these things are not mutually exclusive. You can have all of that, but it's important to identify what it is that feels very important to you. If you're in a couple, let's imagine having negotiations around this, and one of you is a sexual adventurer to whom sexual adventure is very important, you better be talking about that because it's the kind of thing that's going to build resentment if you haven't even discussed. It's important to me that the part of you that wants to experience sexual adventure feels seen and heard and taken into account in this conversation. We can't just decide we're not going to talk about that whole aspect of you.
Mhm.
So I start with like what feels important to the humans that are in the room. And then from there, let's start crafting some experiments, a small experiment that might inform a next step through the school of hard knocks. Like we're trying an experiment so we can learn which is quite different from what a lot of people do when they open their relationships, which is try to find a book, not fail to find a book, or find a book, but it didn't have very good advice. And then they decide we're going to open up and what it's going to look like is polyamory with a rules document with 60 points and 120 subclauses. And then it's going to involve international trips for in excess of 2 weeks, starting immediate. I mean, it's just like, what the fuck are you thinking? Instead, why not start with a small experiment? I would like to have coffee with somebody that I feel a slightly flirtatious vibe with. What would you like to do while I'm doing that? Let's see if we can set this small experiment up for success. What kind
Oh,
of
I
support
love
do you
that.
think you're going to need? What kind of supports do I think I'm going to need? What kind of agreements do we want to have for this tiny experiment, not the rest of our lives, this experiment? And then we're going to like say, well, I think I don't want it to be my best friend and I don't want it to be your ex, but anybody else. And I don't want it to be cocktails. I want it to be non-alcoholic beverages. It could be coffee. I like just
Yeah.
figure out, and it's not rules. It's how would we set up an experiment to succeed so that we can
Mm.
learn something from it. So let's
Mhm.
work together toward a small success. of an experiment. And then we sit down after the experiment and we learn from it. What was it like for you? What was it like for you? What did you learn from it about yourself? What did I learn about myself? What was hard? What was easier than I expected? What would be a next experiment? This tiptoe method takes into account real, genuine individual humans with real feelings and unique selves are what is happening here. And we want to keep a relational connection between real people about real experiences. So then when the emotional messiness comes, we saw it coming. Like, oh, here it is. What's going on for you, my darling? What's coming up? Why does it feel important? What might make it easier? What kind of care can I give you now? What kind of care can you give you now that's going to help you feel supported in this moment? And then when we make a new experiment, how do we make an experiment that cares better for you about this so that you're a better resource? So at each step, we're looking to make sure everybody is resourced for the experiment to the best of our ability, and we're expecting to learn from it. Something's going to go better than something else. And then we're going to learn and then we're going to apply it. So that's my strategy for forming a relationship.
That is
Martha, I'm in love with your words and I'm in love with your knowledge. Just FYI.
Yeah.
I am curious though, because I love how you form things and I am dying to know what your opinion is on this. We have had a lot of talks lately, just us without hitting record, about compersion. One of my favorite topics to talk about, because we've done TikTok content on this all day long. Like we've had our conversations about it. I am very big into compersion towards my wife. Like as far as I'm concerned, not even in the lifestyle or in dating or anything like that, but just all around. A win for her is a win for us. You know what I mean?
am the very opposite.
Very opposite. She'll straight up say, "Fuck compersion."
Yeah, I do, because I'm like, I'm happy that you're happy, but I don't care what made you happy. Like, I don't want to know if it doesn't have to do with me and my children. I don't care what made you happy.
And this is one of the many things that this is the reason why we do so well, especially on the show, because we don't always agree. And we're very vocal on our sides on it, and we still come together and we make it work. But nonetheless, I'm curious, what are your thoughts regarding compersion? I'm obviously, you don't have to have it to make it work, but what are your thoughts on compersion?
As you have pointed out, my main thing is some people love it, some people don't. It's a really useful concept because it's kind of the opposite of jealousy. As a concept. Pris, you said, I love it when he's happy.
Yes.
But I don't care what made him happy. I think that's compersion. It's important to
There we go.
Just as a reframe. I just want to offer a reframe. I think there you go. And then that piece about I don't want to know the details of it, that has to do with co-regulation. That's not about compersion.
What's co-regulation?
That's helping somebody else manage their emotions. So if you say, I am very comfortable knowing this area of your life, and I am really struggling to manage my emotions about this area of your life. If he's willing to tell you about this one and not this one, he's helping you manage your emotions. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
So that's actually one of the reasons I wrote this book, is because there are some weird misconceptions about what you can't do if you're doing polyamory right. And don't ask, don't tell is one of them. And it's not true. It's so clearly obvious to me that you can titrate what kind of information you want. And if your partner's willing to participate, that's not doing anything about relationship wrong. That's helping somebody manage their emotions who has the ability to figure out, this is easy for me, this is hard for me. And then ask, are you willing to help? You don't have to be willing to help, but most partners are like, please sign me up to make this easier for you. Yeah. Right? Okay, back to compersion. That was a great big tangent. Me reframing. Chris, I think you're doing compersion just fine. And you don't have to like the concept. I mean, I think part of the reason why some people really don't like the concept is, first of all, I think it feels like something that you're supposed to do if you're doing this right. And that just pisses me off. Don't tell me how I need to feel.
Yeah.
And so I really want to put this in the realm of it is possible to want somebody else to be happy and to feel happy because they're happy. I am clearly much happier when my partner is happy. And that's compersion. I think we have the opportunity to
Okay.
practice this on social media. Social media is a great example. Let's talk about Facebook. So people like post all their pictures of their vacation and stuff. So when you're looking at Facebook and you're in a shitty mood, well, like, how do you look at those pictures? You're like, God damn it. That person has the
I'm
life
at
that I
fucking
want.
work and they are not.
Exactly. And so I think we can kind of stretch ourselves a little bit and be like, could I celebrate their success? Oh, it's so great that they had a great vacation. I now have learned about myself that I would like a great vacation also. So that's a way to take what you experience and learn something about yourself. And you can be kind to that other person like that. Yay, you for the vacation. Don't love the performative pictures, but I'm excited that you're happy. And thank you for teaching me that I want a vacation. So I think we could all kind of practice just like instead of being in competition with each other, we can
Yeah.
celebrate successes. We can even like get a little of that juiciness. So sometimes I'll like practice looking at those performative pictures and I'm like, okay, can I feel the sun on my skin a little bit? Because I could sure use it. It's 6 degrees in Madison, Wisconsin right now. So like if I'm looking at a picture of somebody sunning by the pool in wherever, maybe I could just have a little bit of that for myself. Maybe I could take a 1-minute vacation and sit by the pool.
1 minute.
So
Yeah.
that's right. I try to unpack compersion into something that's a little more accessible and a little less judgy. It's not that you have to feel a particular thing. You feel what you feel. The
Yeah.
question is, how do you learn from your emotions about what's important to you? And then how do you be a relational being, which is where I want you to feel happy. I don't want to take your happiness away. I just want us both to be happy and we're in
Yes.
conflict in this spot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm kind of challenging you, Pris. So I'm curious for you. How does that land for you?
It makes a lot of sense. No, it really does. It makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because he has to remind me every now and then. Actually, recently, he's like, my wins are your wins. Your
So,
wins are not
like,
my wins.
we'll be somewhere and
I'm
a
very
very
mean.
pretty woman will show interest in me. And you have to understand that before we started, 14 years ago, the Adam previous to that had very low self-esteem, actually up
Yeah.
until a couple years ago, very low self-esteem and just never felt wanted outside of my lovely wife here. And, I had an abusive childhood. I never felt like love from anybody. I never felt wanted from anybody. And so now I'm starting to get that and I'm starting to have these very attractive women show interest in me. And I'm like, how awesome is that? And she's like, yeah, it's pretty damn awesome. Why don't you go take a walk outside for a little bit and bring it down a notch and then come back inside. Maybe we can have a conversation. It's like,
He
okay,
I gotta
I'll
tell
try
you,
that.
he is very sweet. He has to remind me, he's like, remember, my win is your win. Just smile. Just
I'm
don't
I'm a
be
very
nice. I'm like,
I
okay,
reframe
fine.
everything for the positive. And
Yeah.
so I'm overly positive because I'm one of those believers that positive thinking
And I'm
yields
the one
positive
behind
results.
him just doing the
Yeah. And she's like,
Well,
"Ugh, I know you and your stupid positivity." And I'm like, well, that's not very positive. But I'm just gonna take it this way that you really love my positivity.
Well, I'm learning. I'm even now I feel like I learn different ways of understanding and navigating through this relationship. So yeah, I guess I do have some compersion
So
sometimes.
but it's funny because when she told you, she said very specifically, and I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm gonna throw this out there. You said, "Oh yeah, I love it when he's happy.
Yeah.
I just don't want to know like who made you happy."
Yeah.
Actually, so she loves when she makes me
Yeah.
happy. And we had a whole conversation about this about a week ago. She said, I love it when I make you happy, but when you are happy from other people, I don't want to know about it." I
I
would
mean, I
rather it be
ask
me to
him and
make
he'll
you happy.
tell me, but then I'm like, I shouldn't have asked. I really don't care. I really don't care. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
yeah, no, it is I like the way you put it. It's very I have a lot of growth there. So
I mean, it's straightforward.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's straightforward. There's no beating around that
And
bush.
I feel like if a lot of people understood how to, I guess, word it better and to still be able to help their partner understand what they're feeling and really like delve into it, I feel like a lot of people would be better at poly or just ethical non-monogamy kind of relationships, period. Like just that,
Agree.
like just, hey, okay, so that didn't make you feel good, but let's talk about why didn't it make you feel good? I ask myself those questions when I'm feeling super territorial about something. And I'm like, okay, well, why? Why is this person that he's having a conversation with making me feel like that? That person's not talking to me. Like, what is it about them? And if I do a little digging, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's whatever, whatever trauma I had previous to this relationship is bringing up is coming up because of this. So it's a lot of
She's grown a lot
I
over
have.
the just in the time that we've had the podcast because we get to talk to wonderful people like yourself who reshape these
Yeah.
words to where they sink in, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I didn't think about it that way."
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm lucky because she takes away so much from a lot of the people that we talk to. Now, Martha, I will say you have a wonderful way of putting things because
It's so easy to understand.
well,
Like
you oftentimes you talk to a therapist and you get very wordy answers that we kind of sometimes have to dissect. And that's not the case. You put it very cut and dry, and I love it. I really enjoyed having you here. Now, before we wrap up, I would like to talk about what you got going on because I saw that lovely book, and I will say I am gonna rush out of
I'm
here and go
downloading it
actually get it.
today.
Yeah, I'm gonna be reading your book here
Yes.
immediately, and I recommend that all our listeners do so. But if you could just get into what you've got going on right now,
Yeah, what's in your world?
what's in your world?
So much, so much, so much. I train therapists to work with sex issues, and consensual non-monogamies is a part of it. And for that, for therapists and coaches and other care providers, I have an online course, I have a consulting group, I have a book. And for therapists and coaches and care providers who want to get better at working with sex issues generally, not specifically non-monogamies, I have all kinds of trainings available. And I have a new podcast called Untangling Intimacy, which is a conversation between me and Dr. Sky Henry Smith, both of us sex therapists. And we're talking about various aspects of sex and sexuality from the viewpoint of the therapy room. So it's, I think, of particular interest to therapists, coaches, and care providers who might want to get better at working with sex issues. But I also think it's relevant, especially as it goes on over time. Now, there's only so long we can talk about why you would talk about sex and therapy. Pretty soon, we have found ourselves talking more and more just about various things, like how do you want to unpack issues around consent? How do you think about this? How do you think about that? What about desire discrepancy? How about differences between sex partners, differences of opinion of all kinds? And I'm sure at some point we'll be talking about non-monogamies as well. That just recently came out. We have a new episode every week, and so far only 3 of them are out, but you can check that out as well.
Wow, and a new episode every week. You know, from a person who puts out 2 episodes every week, I can tell you that is exhausting. I ran out of topics in my 4th week, and
Oh, well,
we've had
when
it for
we're
a while.
yeah. When we're
Yeah.
talking about sex issues, we are never gonna run out of topic.
You're never gonna I was gonna say you're never gonna run out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we finally figured out just how we could keep it fresh, and things started coming up
Yeah.
immediately. But yeah, by the 4th week, I was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I
Well,
don't
I'm
know if we
super
could do
excited.
this."
That's a lot going on and a lot of information that's at people's fingertips. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
definitely gonna put all of your information on our
Yeah,
website.
it's gonna be on our website. We have a guest bio that you'll be featured on, and
Mhm.
all of the information that everybody's gonna be looking for will be there, as well as our show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martha, this has been an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your perspective, your work, everything that you're seeing in the relationship space right now.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I grew a little bit and I loved it. So I know that our listeners are going to enjoy everything because They like to listen to me being, like, called out.
I enjoy it myself. I'm going to say, for everyone listening, if you want to connect with Martha, learn more about her work, or follow what she's doing, you can find her at her website. That's www.marthakauppi.com. Now, that's going to be in our show notes as well as right here. You'll be able to see it pop
Yes.
up if you're watching us. Her Instagram as well.
Actually, it's www.instituteforrelationalintimacy.com.
Oh,
It
my
used to be
apologies. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I
it
have
used
old
to be
information.
marthakauppi.com, which forwards to Institute for Relational Intimacy, but Institute for Relational Intimacy is my URL.
Okay.
Alright.
Well,
We're gonna
that
put that.
I will update
There
that.
you
So I'll be
go.
sure and have that to where that is the first thing to come up. All of any socials, anything like that, we will have listed on our social medias as well as our website. So you can find it there on the
Yes.
show notes as well.
And Beyond Family, remember, if you haven't yet, make sure you check out our website at www.beyond-monogamy.com. That's where you're going to find all of our episodes, audio and video, our blogs, guest bios, merch, and the full event calendar showing you where we're going to be every month.
You'll also find our Beyond Monogamy confessional there. It's 100% anonymous because I know you guys are very afraid to ask your questions and have your name attached to it. There is no way to be found out. You can submit your stories, experiences, questions, lifestyle situations, or even just life stuff. And we will read it and discuss it. And if you say it's okay to talk about it on the show, we will absolutely talk about it on the show.
Yes, yes. And don't forget that you can also hear us on fullswapradio.com every Thursday at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central.
Yes. And one more reminder, if the show brings you value, please help us grow in this community by liking, subscribing, sharing, and leaving us a review. It really helps more people find this show.
Yes. And we appreciate it more than you know.
Yes. And with that, we will see you guys next week.
Bye.